Hello students, today we are going to start with our new lesson, that is the lesson number 4, The Enemy by Paul Buck. Okay, so I would like to introduce you the lesson, that is, it is a thought-provoking story which highlights how a doctor's duty as a trained medical practitioner towards a patient makes him rise above narrow national prejudices. He risks his honor, position, and life as well as that of his wife and children by sheltering a runaway prisoner of war of the enemy camp and saving his life. The conflict in doctor's mind as a private individual and as a citizen with a sense of national loyalty is beautifully portrayed. So with the help of this, we can understand that this is a story which explained us about the dilemma of a doctor, whether he has to go with the doctor's duty or he has to go with the national loyalty. So this dilemma or this conflict of a doctor's mind, it is very beautifully portrayed in this story. So I am going to start with the story now. So what the story it is? The scene of action is a spot of Japanese coast. So it is a scene of a coastal area. Dr. Sadao Hoki's house was a low, square, stone-built house. So Dr. Sadao is one of the major character of this story. I would like to tell you about the other characters as well. Here in this story, Dr. Sadao, his wife Hannah, and a war prisoner, that is Tom from America. So these are the three main characters here. So Dr. Sadao's house was a low, square, stone-built house. It was set upon the rocks well above a narrow beach outlined with the main pipes. So it was a narrow beach and a rocky portion it was there, and it was outlined with the main pipes. Sadao's father had a deep concern for his son's education. So now about his education we are talking about. So Sadao had been sent to America at 22 to learn all that could be learned of surgery and medicine there. So he studied in America and he studied there surgery and medicine. So he is a surgeon. He returned at 30, means after 8 years study, he returned to his own country, own land, and he became very famous not only as a surgeon but as a scientist also. So he was a prominent person of his country. It was a time of the World War. So that was the time of World War. Japan was at war with America. Dr. Sadao had not been sent abroad with the troops. So he was there in his country only. He was not sent with the troops, with his army. Why? There was a reason. The old general was under medical treatment and he might need an operation. So his means the general's condition was a critical one. He was a serious, and anytime he might be need an operation. So he stayed there. So Dr. Sadao was being kept in Japan for this same reason. Sadao watched mist hide outline of a little island near the shore. So from his house he can see the outline of the island far from his place. Then it came creeping up the beach below his house. His wife Hannah came out and put her hand on his arm. It gave him pleasure. Then she laid her cheeks against his arm. So his wife was with him and she was also observing the island. At this moment, both of them saw something black come out of the mist. So there was a mist and something, a black figure was coming out of there. It was a man. He staggered a few steps, means he hardly stepped for a few, and then the curled mist hid him again. Hannah and Sadaf leaned over the railing of the veranda as they wanted to see that person clearly. They saw a man crawling on his hands and knees. So he was crawling just like a baby on his hands and knees. Then he fell down on his face and lay there. They thought that it was perhaps a fisherman who had been washed from his boat. So they thought that it must be a fisherman. When they came towards him, they saw that he was wounded. So they moved towards that person and they wanted to check. They found that the person was badly wounded. He lay motionless, means he was in an unconscious state. They saw his face. Hannah whispered that he was a white man. That white man means what? He was an American. Salah began to search for the wound. So Salah was searching for where the wound was. Blood flowed fleshly at his touch. So when he touched, the blood started to flow very badly. In order to stanch the fearful bleeding, he packed the wound with a sea moss. Sea moss means what? A kind of a vegetation. Okay, watery vegetation we can say. The man was unconscious. He moaned with pain in his stupor, but he did not awaken. So he was in an unconscious situation, but still he was mourning. Mourn means what? He was crying with the pain. So now muttered, "What shall we do with this man?" He said that the best thing that they could do was to put him back in the sea. So once he thought that he should put him back into the sea as he was an American. Hannah agreed with it. She also agreed. And Sadao explained that it was a difficult situation if they sheltered a white man in their house. They would be arrested. As he was an American, that American was considered as an enemy. So they would be arrested, and that person was also a war prisoner. If they turn him over as a prisoner, if they hand over him to the police, he would certainly die. So Dr. Sadao was thinking like this. They were staring upon his inert figure with a curious repulsion. Repulsion means what? A kind of a hatred. So they were hating all those Americans. Okay. So still, Dr. Sadao and his wife was staring at the person, as they were very much caring for him as well. Okay. So here we are going to stop. The remaining part we'll see in the next part. Thank you.